You just picked up your phone. You don't remember deciding to do it. 1 second you were sitting still, and the next your hand was already moving. The screen lit up. There was nothing important there. You put it back down. Then you picked it up again. This is not a habit. It is not laziness. It is not weakness. What is happening inside your brain right now is something far older and far stranger than a bad routine. It is a survival system that kept your ancestors alive for 2 million years, now completely hijacked by a rectangle of glass and code. Here is the question nobody asks. Why does your brain treat a notification the same way it treats a rustle in the grass? The answer starts with dopamine, but not the way you have heard it explained before. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure chemical. That is wrong, or at least it is incomplete. Neuroscientist Kent Berridge at the University of Michigan spent years separating what he called wanting from liking. Liking is the experience of pleasure. Wanting is the compulsion to seek it out. And dopamine, it turns out, controls wanting, not liking. Your brain releases dopamine not when you get a reward, but when it thinks one might be coming. Read that again. Your brain does not reward you for finding food. It floods you with motivation before you find it, to make sure you keep looking. The seeking is the point. The search is the mechanism. Your dopamine system is not a pleasure delivery machine. It is a prediction and pursuit engine. Now think about what a notification does. It does not tell you what is inside. It tells you something might be there. A message, a like, a reply, a piece of news. Your brain cannot see inside the notification, so it does the only thing it knows how to do. It spikes dopamine. It launches the seek sequence. Your hand moves before your conscious mind has any say in it. This is what researcher B.F. Skinner called a variable ratio reinforcement schedule. Skinner ran experiments in the 1950s where he gave pigeons a lever. Sometimes pressing it released food. Sometimes it did not. The pigeons that got food on a random schedule pressed the lever compulsively, far more than pigeons that received food every single time. The uncertainty was the addiction. The randomness was the trap. Your phone is a Skinner box. Sometimes you pick it up and there is something meaningful. Sometimes there is nothing. Your brain never knows which one it will find, so it never stops wanting to check. The very architecture of notifications, likes, and feeds was built, intentionally or not, to exploit this exact mechanism. But why was this mechanism in you in the first place? Go back, way back. Picture your ancestor on the savannah. Not the version of you from a few centuries ago. The version from before agriculture, before language had fully developed, before fire was reliable. This person woke up every morning in a world that was genuinely trying to kill them. Food was unpredictable. Predators were invisible. Other groups of humans were competitors. In that world, the brain that survived was not the calm brain. It was not the satisfied brain. It was the brain that never stopped scanning. The brain that noticed the broken twig. The shadow moving wrong. The smell that was not there yesterday. Stillness was dangerous. Boredom was fatal. What you call restlessness, your ancestors called survival. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who spent decades studying human attention, described the resting human mind as a system that defaults to anxiety. Not peace, not calm. The natural state of the unstimulated brain is vigilance. Your brain does not relax by default. It scans. It seeks. It looks for the thing that might be about to happen. The phone slides into this gap perfectly. It is not that tech companies created a new weakness in you. They found the oldest one. Think about what social information meant to your ancestors. Who was angry? Who was friendly? Who was forming alliances? Who had found food? Who had made an enemy? Knowing these things was not entertainment. It was life or death. The social group was your immune system, your food supply, your protection against predators, and your only chance of raising children who survived. If someone in your group changed how they felt about you, You needed to know immediately. A like on your post is your brain receiving a status signal. A comment is your brain receiving social information. A message notification is your brain receiving a potential threat or ally update. These inputs are being processed by neural systems that are 60,000 years old and think you are still on the savannah. Researcher Robin Dunbar at Oxford proposed what became known as the social brain hypothesis. The idea is that human brains grew large not to solve math problems or build tools, but to track the complexity of large social groups. Your neocortex, the part responsible for higher thinking, expanded to handle the computational weight of knowing who liked whom, who owed what, who was trustworthy, and who was not. In other words, your brain is a gossip machine. It evolved to process social data constantly because social data was survival data. Now you are carrying 300 social connections in your pocket, each one capable of sending you a status signal at any moment. Your brain has no framework for this. It treats every notification as meaningful because for every version of you that existed before this century, every social signal was meaningful. Here is where it gets darker. The people who built the feed you scroll did not set out to create an addiction. Or maybe some of them did. But what they understood, either through intuition or through data, is that the scroll itself is the product, not the content. The scroll is the Skinner lever. The feed is engineered to never end, to never fully satisfy, to always imply that the next thing might be better than the last. Former Google design ethicist Tristan Harris called this a race to the bottom of the brainstem. The apps that win the most attention are not the ones that make you feel good. They are the ones that trigger the most primitive responses. Outrage, social comparison, the fear of missing out. These are not modern emotions. They are ancient threat detection signals being fired in a context they were never built for. Your anger at a stranger online is your predator alarm misfiring. Your anxiety when your phone battery hits 10% is your brain processing a loss of access to social information as a survival threat. Your immediate reach for the phone first thing in the morning is your ancestor waking up and checking who died in the night, who moved camp, and whether the hunting grounds were still safe. None of this is metaphor. These are the same neural systems, the same chemical signals, the same ancient programs running on new hardware. So what do you do with this? Understanding the mechanism changes your relationship to it. When your hand moves toward the phone and there is no reason for it, that is not weakness. That is 2 million years of survival code executing exactly as written. The seeking impulse is not a flaw. It is the engine that kept every version of you alive long enough to be here. But here is the counterintuitive truth. The same brain that got hijacked can learn to redirect that energy. The dopamine system that makes you check the feed will also drive you through a hard creative project, a deep conversation, a physical challenge. The wanting is not the enemy. The want target is. Your brain craves the unknown reward. You can choose what the lever delivers. This is what the research on attention restoration actually shows. Studies out of the University of Michigan, led by Rachel and Stephen Kaplan, found that natural environments restore directed attention capacity not by being exciting, but by being effortlessly interesting. The rustle in the grass, the movement of water, the unpredictable shapes of clouds. These inputs feed the ancient scanning system exactly what it wants, without the cortisol spike, without the social comparison, without the dopamine debt. The phone hijacked the scan, but the scan was always looking for something real. Tonight, when you reach for your phone without thinking, you will feel the pull before the thought arrives. That pull is ancient. That pull is yours. It is the same force that kept your ancestors moving through a dangerous world, always looking, always seeking, never satisfied. The question is not how to kill it. The question is what you choose to point it at.